All right, so welcome back, Elaine, to the Zoom room again for another Art of Letting Go live session. So, as usual, we're going to start off with today's email. There's a bit of teaching there, an inspirational quote, and let me just enable my video. So, let me share my screen with you quickly, and can jump into our teaching today. So, all right, so let's share my screen. That one. All right. So if you can read the headline quote for today from T.S. Eliot. It's quite one of his most famous lines.
We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. T.S. Eliot.
Yeah, great quote. So we're exploring. We're on a hero's journey. The end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. Where did we start? We started where we were, right here, right now. So we come back to ourselves and we know that place for the first time. Know thyself. That's what he's pointing to. The hero's journey, the circular pattern of, if you look at the hero's journey, it's very much along these lines, isn't it? Pull up the diagram, so it's circular. So we start, there's a call to adventure, we explore. Really what we're exploring is our own self. Who are we really? We discover more about ourselves as we journey, go on the hero's journey. And the ultimate goal of the hero's journey is to know thyself. So you come full circle, you return changed, and you know the place that you started from and who you really are for the first time. So he's just in that passage referring really to the hero's journey, which is the ultimate journey we're all on. So it's from a poem called Little Gidding by one of the great poets of the 20th century. He was very spiritually inclined. So if you read his poetry, there's usually a deeper spiritual message, as many of the great poets. They speak of things that are deeper, that are transcendent, and they do it in words, and they point us to these inner states through the beautiful words they use. So he states the obvious that may have been obscured in your ego's upside-down thought system, and so it needs to be deeply contemplated to become obvious to you. So ask yourself the question now. We'll just do a little 2-minute meditation on this. So breathe in, take a nice deep breath in, close your eyes, and through the nose. And ask yourself, what will the end of all my exploring be? What will the end of all my exploring be? So this is the end of all searching, all seeking, striving, the end of the journey. What will it be? And just sit quietly for a few moments and wait for an answer to the question. What will the end of all my exploring be? Maybe you want to exhale now. Out through your mouth. You exhale, you blow it out. You let it go. And you rest. In the still, calm, quiet state. Maybe you reach a state where nothing comes to you, just an emptiness. No thought, no emotion. Just an experience of deep peace. And if you can experience that, then you will have experienced the answer. The true answer. And when you're ready, just open your eyes. So what happened there? Did you share anything? Did you feel a sense of letting go, a sense of peace?
Yeah, the relief and peace at last, at long last. Peace.
What will the end of all my exploring be? Is peace, isn't it? That's the answer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I came up with.
Peace. And then to actually experience it is arriving at the answer. It's not intellectually just knowing the answer, it's actually experiencing.
Yeah, that was, just a relief, yeah.
Which leads us quite nicely into today's text reading, because it's called The Quiet Answer. This is the quiet answer to all our questions. What will the end of all my searching and exploring and striving and this hero's journey, what will the end be? What's going to happen to me? Many people wonder. And the end is a state of deep, undisturbable peace. The peace of God, it's been called, it surpasses all understanding. And that's what the hero's journey is really all about. The reason why it's such a powerful conception of Joseph Campbell is because it describes the spiritual journey, starting with the unawakened self, the egoic self, and then the journey through the stages of the hero's journey, the call to adventure, and then the trials, the tribulations, the tests, going into the abyss, which is the undoing of the ego, as is shown here. It's just going to that's the one I'm looking for. The death and the rebirth, and coming out of that crucible. Really. This is crucifixion and resurrection into now the old self concept, and now returns back into the normal world. So you continue to operate in the world, but as a different person. Now, the Christ, the higher self, who knows who they are, and you've come to know the place you started, which is yourself, for the first time. That's what T.S. Eliot's referring to in the quote, isn't it? The place you started is not an external place. It's your state of mind. It's who you are. It's what he's referring to. So you return to the same place as you left, which is living your life in this world. Still here, still have a body, still have a seeming personal identity, still have stuff going on in your life, as we all do. Still have special relationships, still have work, family, social life, etc., etc. But now, in an enlightened state of mind, which you truly know yourself for the first time. And so nothing much on the external might change, but actually who you are and your daily moment-by-moment experience of life is very different. That's the enlightened state of mind. They express this quite well in Zen, in the saying, you've probably heard it. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Okay, so you're going to return to the same place as you were. You're still doing the same stuff. You're going to chop wood, carry water, which is part of the practicalities of living in this world.
Yeah.
But you're going to do it differently. You're still going to do it, but you do it differently. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Oh, this is a bit of a drag. You have all this stuff going on. Why am I doing it? You resist it. You don't really enjoy the process. You want to be somewhere else. After enlightenment, you chop wood, you carry water, and it's a flow experience. There's no resistance to it. It's actually quite enjoyable. You look at those words, what do they refer to? Chopping wood means you've got to be focused. Yeah? To chop the wood, it's like you've got to aim the axe and you've got to, you're not going to do that if you're not focused. So it's the focus. And carry water. Water is all about flow, isn't it? So you're carrying the water. Water is the element of flow, and life. Well of water. Water is a symbol of life, and so you focus and you flow. When you focus and you flow, that's really what the deeper meaning of that quote is, and that you'll come full circle, and you're still operating in the world as an enlightened being, but now you do your activities differently, and there's no stress, there's no pain, there's no suffering, there's no drama. In fact, it's quite enjoyable. What was previously not, and you had all this resistance to, you've dropped all of that, and you just flow with everything. And so you come full circle, and you come to know again the place that you left. Previously, you went on this journey, the spiritual journey, and you return to it, and you come to know it for the first time. You know yourself as yourself in the now, in whatever activity you're doing for the first time, really. Just before you didn't know who you were. You thought you were a human being.
Yeah.
You thought you were an individual, cope with the difficulties of life and challenges and all the things that you have to do. And that was a misperception. Your perception of who you were wasn't correct. So of course, you can't have right action if your fundamental perception of who you are, of who's taking the action, is incorrect, can you? Right action comes from the correct self, the true self. And the right action is both a product or extension of it, and it also feeds back and it reinforces it. So this is the path of karma yoga we talked about. You take right action and it reinforces the self that is taking the action. And the more you do that, the more that feedback loop strengthens the true self. So if you look at integral model, quite well demonstrated here, you see these contour lines. So you have the true self connected to your source, that then perceives the world in a certain way on that same level, and then certain words and actions take place, behaviors, which is the right action of karma yoga, which express that state of mind, that true self. They express it in action, and then those actions come back, and in fact they go all the way around. They ripple in all four quadrants. So they don't just come back to the individual, the subjective individual interior self, but they ripple out through time and space into the interobjective. That's the collective exterior, and the intersubjective, the collective interior. They influence the mind of all of us. In other words, the universal mind, the quantum field. We all connected and tapped into that. So they influence that, and they influence the seeming individual. And so path of karma yoga, right action, can have a profound world-changing effect, and we've seen that with people who've lived that path and really done karma yoga on a high level. Take Yeshua, his life was about service. Certainly the last 3 years of it, it was service to others. His ministry, it was all about teaching, healing, helping others. The same with the Buddha, dedicated 35 years after he attained his enlightenment, 35 years of right-minded action to help others to learn the truth. And as a result of that, consistent, focused right action, two of the world's major religions were birthed. Buddhism and Christianity came out of those individuals' right-minded thinking and perceptions, and then the actions they took. It wouldn't have happened if they just sat in meditation all the time. They acted consistently. So they walked around, they were teachers, they taught consistently, they taught the same message, they didn't waver from their message. And as a result, we have these profound spiritual teachings that have come down through from their lives. So there you see the example of the power of karma yoga, that it can actually change the world and radically change hundreds of thousands, millions of people's lives through your own right-minded action. And I find that very inspiring. So, well, why wouldn't you dedicate your life to doing that, to going through that process as they did?
Mhm.
And that's why it's called the Course in Miracles, because the miracles are the flow state internally, and then expressed in form. You see, the outcomes changing in your behavior, and what happens on the level of the individual and the collective exterior changes because of your right thoughts, your right perceptions, your right words, your right actions. If it's all in alignment, we call that integrity, which is the same root word as the integral model. It's integral. It's coming from a whole perspective. It's not disconnected and fragmented and contradictory. It's one idea, one self, shall we say, just being able to now express itself in all four quadrants in a very integrated way. So these quadrants don't conflict. You don't have internal conflicts. They all align and on a high level. So you're at the true self level, the level of the Christ or the true self. It's a pretty high level, maybe not quite beyond the boundaries, but somewhere up here. And then you start to create things on that level. See, your circle of influence and your power has expanded exponentially as you get this and go up the levels, to ultimately where you expand beyond the model, beyond the idea of an individual and a collective self and interior and exterior, beyond duality. You go into the non-dual truth of who you really are, which is then that's the ultimate journey. And once you arrive at that place, you come to know the place for the first time. So if you look at it from this perspective, the hero's journey is a spiral, isn't it? You start off at maybe quite a limited level, say a body orientation, identify yourself as a body or a mind. And then you journey and you learn your lessons in all four quadrants. And so you cycle around, and it's like a maze. Each time you cycle, you know there's walking mazes. You go in a circle,
Oh yeah.
and you walk from outside into the circle, and then you walk inside out. So it's like, okay, you start from the inner circle, which is quite limited and contracted. Then you walk out and you expand as you journey, but it's not linear. You have to circle around.
Yeah.
So it's experiential. You have to go through the life experiences to learn the lessons. And so you just keep cycling. And then as you do that, you progressively expand your mind and your impact on the world. And that starts to radiate through all four quadrants. And that's how you change the world, because you're changing all four quadrants. If you deny the existence of some of the quadrants, let's say the interior ones are normally what's denied in our upside down world, then you've only got half the picture. Then you're denying the inner nature of your own mind, which is crazy. So that's where everything comes from. And then while we're still in this world, okay, I understand this is an illusion, but it's still going to seemingly be there. And these effects that show up in the illusion are just there to teach me that I'm on the right track. Okay, so that makes sense. Can you see how all these models fit together into one integrated teaching? It makes sense.
Yes.
Hero's journey, what the poets, what the mystics have said, it's all the same. They're all talking about this identifying with the true self and knowing that true self through the journey. And that's what all these epic movies are about. The reason why we enjoy watching movies like The Matrix, Avatar, Star Wars movies, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, and others structured. Those are the obvious ones. That are blockbuster movies that broken box office records. The reason they do that is because people resonate with the story, the archetypal story of the hero's journey that is shown in the movies. And they watch it even though they might not consciously be aware of it. They watch it because they resonate with these characters and their experiences because they are going through similar things. And if they're not, they're aspiring to. We all have a hero in us that wants to be a hero, wants to go on these profound journeys that can be challenging, but actually grow us. We become someone of character and substance through the journey. So that's why these stories and these movies are popular, because they tap into that element of every human being that wants to be the hero of their own journey. And so Joseph Campbell published The Hero with a Thousand Faces in 1949, which laid out this theory of the hero's journey, essentially put in writing what this diagram shows and fleshed it out, and an understanding of the phases. Certainly the first, second, and third act, he describes those. And then what happened subsequently was Hollywood got hold of this, and they were like, wow, okay, this is powerful. We can use this to structure our stories for movies. And they started making these kinds of movies based on the hero's journey, which prior to 1950 were not made because no one understood the hero's journey. So you see a definite shift in filmmaking post Joseph Campbell's book, 1950, halfway through the century. And then very soon afterwards, this young director and producer called George Lucas sort of was inspired by these ideas, and he wrote the Star Wars story. He wrote the 6 episodes of it, and managed to raise funding to make the first 3 in the 70s. But that he was inspired by Joseph Campbell's ideas in the 50s and 60s to write the stories. And so that's where it comes from. And then they were such a success. This is the new gold standard. If we really want to, not just in one movie, want to create a series of movies that really inspire people and do incredibly well at the box office, this is the formula. And so they refine Joseph Campbell's hero's journey into these 12 stages. If you look at these movies based on the hero's journey, you can see these 12 stages playing out in not exactly necessarily in exactly that order. Sometimes it varies a bit. The order varies. Each plot is different, but generally that structure is there. You can see it. You can see it playing out. In the end, the hero comes back to where they left, and they know the place for the first time, as T.S. Eliot puts it. But they've been on a journey of self-discovery to discover who they really are through this journey. So if you want to dive a bit deeper, there's a great article which you can read by a guy called Scott Jeffrey on the hero's journey and how to use it as a roadmap for your personal development, really spiritual development. It's the highest level. Personal and spiritual development are the same. The ultimate goal of personal development is to drop the persona. So it goes beyond personal development to the truth. So the self develops to the point where it transcends the self, the need for the self. So check that out if you haven't read it. It's definitely worth reading that article. And so that brings us to today's teachings and the mind training lesson and the insert on what is forgiveness. So let's dive into that, shall we? If you want to read the in fact, let's shall we do the those initial paragraphs first? We'll read them again. So where are we? Lesson 226. So if you read the there's 5 paragraphs. Paragraph 1 on this is insert 1 on answer the question, what is forgiveness? Or what is letting go in our translated language?
Yeah. Letting go recognizes what I thought my companions did to me has not occurred, does not pardon sins and make them real. It perceives there was no sin, and in that perception I have let it go of all my sins. What is sin except a false idea about perfect love's extension? Letting go merely perceives its falsity and therefore lets it go. What is then free to take its place is now the pure formless awareness of perfect love.
Any thoughts on that?
It was just a repeat of the last few days, isn't it? Just
Yep.
letting
So
go.
anything new come to you? The repetition is like, okay, so let's do this over and over and see what happens to your understanding over 10 days of the same text.
Just trying to remember that what our companions we thought had done to us hasn't happened, and so it should be easier to let go then. And just to see the falsity and let that go. So it's just letting go of the sin and so forth, yeah. and allowing perfect loves in pure formless awareness.
Yeah, as I said, it's not rocket science. I've let go of all my sins. When I forgive others, I let go of my judgment of anyone. I let go of it in my own mind, and I free myself to experience this state we call pure formless awareness of perfect love. As soon as I judge others, well, I condemn myself to being in a state that's not pure formless awareness of perfect love, don't I? Because I've got those thoughts and emotions going. So it's self-evident that those, the judgment of anyone's sin automatically denies your true self and your true state of mind, your true awareness. And you condemn yourself then to being in this negative state, which is not very happy, and guilt. Huh?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to number 2 swiftly.
An unforgiving thought is one which makes a judgment that I will not question, although it is not true. My mind is closed and will not be released. An unforgiving thought protects projection, tightening its bonds so that distortions are more veiled and more obscure, less easily accessible to doubt and further kept from reason. What can come between a fixed projection and the aim that I have chosen as its wanted goal?
No, so thoughts on that? What's he saying there?
Just about the unforgiving thoughts, and judgment just leaves us stuck. Just tightens bonds and distortions, and just leaving the veil obscured, and just can't see beyond the truth. Yeah.
Projection perception. Yeah, can you explain to me how that works? How that feedback loop works?
It's just a mirror, isn't it? Just goes round in circles. What you project, your perception will just boomerang back.
So I project out from a thought system, a belief system, that then leads to certain experiences happening in time and space. So I show you this. It's going to illustrate it quite well. So I believe I'm a separate self. My desire is to be a separate self. That creates a belief system that I'm a separate self. I'm unworthy. Then there's inevitably going to be a sense of unworthiness as a separate self, a victim identity, and all of that projects out because I'm doing that subconsciously. Whether I like it or not, I'm projecting my thoughts always outwards into the world, and now a set of sensory perceptions comes to me, sensory data from the outside world. Stuff happens, we'd say. Stuff happens, and then I perceive it. But if I'm unawakened, I perceive it from the same belief system that projected it. So it becomes a fixed projection and a closed loop system that just reinforces itself. I project it out, seems to be real, then I perceive it as real, which reinforces the emotions, the thoughts, and the beliefs on which that perception stands. And so the ego's got me in a system that is a closed loop system, and it's self-perpetuating and self-reinforcing until something like this teaching comes in and reminds us that this whole construct of the mind, the perception, the emotion, thought, the belief, all of that is false, and that actually your only true desire is to be one, genuine feeling that yes, I don't want to be separate anymore. I don't want to entertain the belief in separation anymore. I just want to be one self rather than split. And that is a fundamental change at the very core of your mind. That's where the miracle takes place. That means that ripples all the way up through the levels. So your belief, your thought, your emotion, and your perception change. You also start projecting out different things and you're perceiving them differently. And that's how the change works. Initially, you might get a fixed projection based on your past thinking, which then challenges you. Now, the rubber meets the road in this transformation at perception, because you can choose to perceive it differently based on a different thought system. You see that?
Yeah.
So that's how this the projection perception mechanism works. When he says protects projection, tightening its bond so as distortions are more veiled and more obscure, less easily accessible to doubt and further kept from reason, he's referring to that closed loop system. The unforgiving thought, the negated thought, that's of the ego, just locks us in, and we believe it, we project it out, and we believe the projection is real, which reinforces the belief, which causes us more projection, and around and around and around we go. And that's what the ego wants to keep us trapped in. And so it resists this kind of understanding that really I'm projecting and I'm perceiving. I'm creating my reality as I go. It doesn't want you to know that. Okay. So happy with number 2. Let's move on to number 3.
An unforgiving thought does many things. In frantic action, it pursues its goal, twisting and overturning what it perceives as interfering with its chosen path. Distortion is its purpose, and the means by which it accomplishes it as well. It sets about its furious attempts to smash reality without concern for anything that would appear to pose contradiction to its point of view.
Thoughts on that?
It was about the unforgiving thought and the destruction of it.
To smash reality. I like the way you said that. So when we have an unforgiving thought, we're attacking and trying to actually smash reality with a capital R. So that's pure formless awareness of perfect love. And through our negative thoughts and emotions, we try and smash that and break them. It's impossible. I mean, you can't break what is eternal. But it creates a veil of illusion in our mind. It covers over reality. And then we get caught up in that veil of illusion, believing that it's real. Without concern for anything that would appear to pose a contradiction to its point of view. So someone's very, in their ego, they don't want to know, do they? You can try and convince them otherwise, and they're just like, no, this is it. Yeah. I'm not listening, because they're determined to smash reality in the way that they've predetermined, that the ego is directing. And any thought of, well, why don't you just look at it differently, change your perception, let it go? It's like, no, I don't want to know that. I'm just intent on smashing reality.
Yeah, we've seen that.
Which smashes their own reality. They don't realize they're smashing their own happiness and peace and joy and love into smithereens. And then trying to find some kind of happiness in this broken, fragmented, smashed reality that the ego has miscreated to replace true reality, and they will fail time and again. They'll never find peace there, because you only find peace in unity, in integration and wholeness, not in fragmentation, which comes from smashing the reality.
Yeah, I've seen that in action.
Yeah, we've all observed it. So you see people.
Yeah, there's a lady at work, a lady called Teresa. She's got herself hooked up with somebody in America. He's 46 and she's 70, and she's got this romantic notion. And she's now starting to send him money. And people are saying, you're getting conned, but she refuses to accept it and won't even speak to anyone if they say anything. So that's very much her there. She refuses.
So it's a distortion, and it's like, I don't want to see. It's so, the ego's got fixated on this for its purposes. It's obviously a special attachment relationship. Self-concept is enhanced by this relationship, and then it's like, I don't want to know anything else. I won't look. I won't see. What reality actually is. And so I'm in this distorted perspective, and only truth. Only being really willing to look and go, okay, what am I doing here? Like, let me just zoom out of my my little world and all of my attachment to this, and just go, well, what's really going on here?
Yeah.
A sense of kind of the own world. When I was obsessed with this goal of becoming a world champion, it's all happening in my head, and it was like, right, no, I believe, and it was this whole game going in my head. And then there came a point where I just stepped out of that. I remember it very clearly in the moment. I'd lost. It was just a training match to a guy who I normally beat him, but that day for whatever reason I wasn't quite on it, and I just lost. But he wasn't he certainly wasn't a world beater. He was like in the top maybe 20 in the country in South Africa, but that's kind of nowhere in world terms. And I just kind of zoomed out of all of that, my delusion, really. And I just saw it for what it was in that moment. And I went, you're kidding yourself. Like, come on, like, just look at it objectively, without any personal investment and attachment, and see that, like, this is, you just lost to some guy who's really, not great in world terms. It's not even close to being world class. Never mind world number one. You've got to kind of wake up to the facts, the reality, which was quite a hard wake up call, because that fantasy had kept me going for many years. But it was a distorted fantasy reality that I'd got myself locked into. And it took, some harsh so-called reality. That loss that I had was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. If I'd won that match, maybe I wouldn't have had the experience. It probably would happen at some point. But that particular game, the lesson was profound, because it helped me to snap out of this fantasy world I got myself caught up in, and just see and go, like, okay, it's a distortion. I'm caught up in a fantasy world, and it has no bearing on reality at all. It's never going to happen. I'm just in my own mind, I'm just believing it, which was quite a harsh. I was like, wow, that's reality check. But spiritually speaking, it was one of the best things that could have happened to me, because I had to then take stock of my whole thought system and go, okay, well, I've believed in these fantasies, these dreams, what the mind of man can conceive and believe it can achieve. Napoleon Hill, I'd read these books. I've believed in this for 15 years, maybe a bit longer. And I've dedicated my life to, the pursuit of these ideas. And where's it led me? Has it actually worked? And, honestly, I had to take stock and go, no, honestly, it hasn't worked. Where am I? Actually, nowhere. I'm in fantasy world. I'm delusional. Yes, I'm a reasonable squash player. No, I was good, but I certainly wasn't a world beater. Wasn't even close. but I had this fantasy because it was my own self-concept that was attached to that. I thought, well, this is how I'm going to justify my life. I need to be a world champion, and then I was going to, become a top motivational speaker, and everything rode on. No, but I have to be the number one to do that. It's all distorted reality. Nothing real really going on. Just happening in my own thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I take okay, reality check. I need to really take stock and look honestly. Honesty is a huge part of this journey. Like, be really honest with yourself, brutally honest. Okay, am I just delusional? Am I making this up? Is it a fantasy? To have that sort of sense of detachment and perspective, which only the Holy Spirit can give you, is a big part of the spiritual journey. And a big part of forgiveness, because you have to then let go of that distorted egoic identity that distorts your thinking and your emotions and causes you to believe in these fantasies and repeatedly try and smash the reality that underlies them. That's what you're doing with the fantasies and the grievances, idle wishes and grievances. It's just as partners or co-makers in making the world that you think you see. So honesty, and if you're not honest, then you're not practicing the course. You have to look honestly and be willing to see what's not necessarily nice to see. That was one of the hardest moments. I sat there on the side of this court and I felt despair. I was like, well, I've dedicated my life to this goal, 15 years of concentrated effort, and I've got nowhere. You know what I mean? It's a moment of despair. You go like, well, what have I been doing? Like, why even bother? And you feel that innovation. But it was good because it woke me up to, well, maybe there's something else beyond this, delusional thought system. I had to then go, well, maybe I've got it all wrong. Maybe philosophically, I haven't really understood life. It really, caused me to question all of it, which was excellent spiritual practice. It was like, yeah, actually, I questioned the ego's thought system of, well, one day you're going to achieve this. Your happiness is going to come from your achievements. It's going to come in the future. It's all about, striving and working and desiring. Like, all of that came into question, and it failed. I saw that it had failed me, and it hadn't really worked. And so I corrected it. That's when I started really the spiritual journey. It was all part of the spiritual journey, because the lead up to that was all necessary to have that, massive disappointment and disillusionment. As I say, disillusionment must precede enlightenment. So the disillusionment was a precursor to then waking up to, the higher truth that was within me, that was just covered over by all of those delusions. It was all necessary. And then once I've gone through that major letting go of that, whole egoic identity and the goal that went with it, then I was open to the truth. And so then very quickly, the core, these kinds of higher teachings started coming my way, and I started getting very interested in them and reading, studying them. And then I was doing meditation and spiritual practices, and then the course comes along, and it was all part of waking up, awakening to the ultimate truth of who you are, which has led me, here to this moment where I'm speaking to you about it, and as part of this community and this program that I've been guided to create and facilitate. So you see, it's all part of the plan, the Holy Spirit's plan, which had nothing to do with my plan. My plan was, okay, be world champion, and then great. Once you've ticked that box, you've then got the credentials, become a motivational speaker, great. And then you go and you speak to audiences around the world, a la Tony Robbins, and you get paid a fortune for it. And I had it all, mapped out. This was what I was going to do. And of course, I think John Lennon said it wonderfully. He said, life happens when you're making other plans. This is a great insight.
Life happens, sorry? What did he say?
On his part, because, it doesn't happen that way often. He
What
said
did he
life
say?
happens while you're making.
When you're making plans. Ah, right, yeah, got you.
Yeah, life happens anyway while you're making other plans.
Yeah.
So you're planning your life and you're thinking, right, this is like, and then life happens and other stuff happens. It's like, well, you didn't plan for that. Most of the most significant things you don't plan for. You don't plan, to meet, say, your partner. It just happens. You meet them, and then it's like, okay, so now there's a special relationship forms, and then you might have children. That wasn't necessarily planned. It just happens. Or you happen to bump into someone and they become your best friend, or a random encounter with someone or something leads to an idea which starts you on a whole track down a new venture which you didn't plan. It just it arose in the flow, in synchronicity. So it's a much more powerful way of operating. You're like, I'm open, I'm guided. So I don't have fixed plans anymore. It's like, okay, well, show me, moment by moment, what should I be doing? And even if there's an overall vision, it's just, okay, well, moment by moment, how's that unfolding? It's not so much as a plan as like a guiding framework. It's like, okay, yeah, these are this is what I feel inspired to do, but how it's going to play out, that's in the hands of the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. And so to do that, you have to let go to a high degree of the need to control and plan, which is exactly what this course trains you to do. In my defense systems, my safety lies. When I defend myself, I'm attacked. Those are key lessons in not planning, letting it go with the flow, trusting life, and then you surrender to a higher plan. It's the Holy Spirit's plan for your life, which is the plan of at-one-ment, which is really guiding you to awaken. That's its plan. Everything is designed to awaken you. Because it knows that the temporary goals of this world, though they rise, they pass away, so they don't really mean anything. But they can be used as learning devices for your mind to help you to awaken. That's then the Holy Spirit's purpose for your life. Use everything to awaken you to the truth of who you really are. Okay, so you see, it's interesting when you contemplate this passage we did yesterday, and we're having a different conversation today, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Mm-hmm.
And that's how this course works. It's like, so you can read the same passage and you can have different thoughts, different discussions, different conversations every day. You can read this every day and we have a different take on it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the power of it. This is why you can never really get bored with it, because it's got these levels of significance that reveal themselves as you read it and as you study it. Deeper levels of significance, or higher levels of significance, they're called. All right, so I'm going to read number 4 for us.
Yeah. Oops, I'll just pop the light on. It's getting dark. Just a second there. Yeah. 4. Letting go, on the other hand, is still and quietly does nothing. It defends no aspect of reality, nor seeks to twist its appearance I like. It merely observes, waits, and does not judge. But I, who do not want to let go, must judge, for I must justify my failure to let go. But I, who want to let go of my separate self, must learn to welcome truth exactly as it is.
Okay, so what's he saying there?
It's just this letting go. It's all about that. And it's just giving you the what it's like to experience it when it's still and quiet and does nothing. It offends no aspect of reality. You're just there in reality, no twists and turns. It just merely observes, waits and does not judge. So it's
Which is very, very much along the lines of mindfulness, isn't it? Mindfulness based on Eastern practices like Vipassana is just observe, don't judge. You just in Vipassana, you just sit and you observe that, and you don't react to it. So you sit, you wait, you don't judge, don't react. So there's no resistance, there's no craving. So like, oh, I want that. There's no aversion. Oh, I'm resisting that. It just, okay, I just observe the body's sensations as they arise and they pass away. And so I'm really observing my emotions as they arise and pass away, because the sensations in the body are the reflection of the emotions. And so it's a form of forgiveness. It's exactly what he's talking about. This is what forgiveness does. So how people can then say, well, that's not forgiveness and that's somehow against the Course. You know, it's very narrow-minded and dogmatic to believe that. To say, oh, well, you know, if you go into Buddhist teaching, you somehow denying the truth of the Course. It's not true. It's the same truth they're pointing to.
Yeah.
Just different methodologies of achieving it. So in the Vipassana, it's like, okay, the practice is you merely observe, you wait, and you don't judge. That's the practice. And you just sit for an hour or two, and that's what you do. Whereas, you know, a more active kind of forgiveness would go, okay, I'll bring it up. I'll allow a breath break. I'll bring it up. I'll look at it, and then I'll release it. I'll release that energy, and I'll feel a letting go. It's another way of doing it. But it's the same process of letting go, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And both have their place. You know, there's a place for both methods. As he's pointing out, he wouldn't say it merely observes, waits, and does not judge. He wouldn't say that if he wasn't, you know, asking us to be mindful and just go into the observer state and detach, not judge. But I do not want to let go, must judge, or must justify my failure to let go. So if I don't let go, then I'm judging by default, and I'm justifying my failure to let go. Well, my failure is justified because this happened, and now my judgment seems to be justified. Well, how can I not judge that? You know, that person did this, or they said this, not very nice. So what we've got to learn is none of it's justified. It's a setup. The ego is trying to stop you from just observing, waiting, and not judging, because it knows that that's going to undo it. But I want to let go of my separate self, must learn to welcome truth exactly as it is. So if you just observe quietly, you wait and you don't judge, the truth will arise. You start to become aware of this truth, this deeper truth that's so profound in your mind. Which is what letting go reveals. Okay. Happy to move to number 5.
Yeah. Therefore, I do nothing and allow letting go to show me what to do through my guide, my awakener and protector, strong in hope, uncertain of ultimate success. I have never been condemned, but only loved by the loving presence, for such is its function, given to it by pure formless awareness of perfect love. Now I must share its function and let go of all condemnation towards perfect love's extension that it has awakened, whose innocence is perceives, and whom it honors as the extension of perfect love.
Yeah. So what's he saying in that one?
Again, the letting go will show us what to do through our guide, our Holy Spirit, our awakener, protector, and strong in hope, we will have success, because we've never been condemned, but only loved by the loving presence. It doesn't know any of the condemnation.
Yeah, condemnation and love don't go together. One denies the other. So if you condemn anyone, then who experiences the condemnation? You do. You experience that energy, don't you? Thoughts, emotions. That cuts you off. That covers over the state of pure formless awareness. So you condemn yourself by condemning another to the state in which you're not very happy. It would seem to be self-evident. You look at that, it's like, yeah, obviously. Who's experienced condemnation when you condemn another? You are. You experience the thoughts, the feelings, the emotions right then, real time, the moment you condemn. You know, it's going on in your mind. You're often you feel it in your body. You'll feel those powerful chemicals starting to activate and give you these sensations in the body. And so it's a real time experience. That okay, if I condemn, then instantly I condemn myself to an unpleasant experience. Now I'm not very happy, and I've condemned myself to that state. This is what Yeshua's trying to teach us. It's like, yeah, obviously, surely that's obvious. But it's not obvious. To most human beings, that's not obvious, is it? We think we can condemn another and somehow escape ourselves from the condemnation and be okay. Because we're not aware enough of our own state to go, okay, well, what does this actually do to me? You know, when I condemn another, how do I feel? Not great, if I'm honest. This is why honesty is so important. Really not actually very good. Doesn't feel good. Okay, so maybe it's not a good thing to do then. Don't feel good about it. Why do it? Aren't you just harming yourself then by condemning? Well, yes, that should be obvious. Of course, the ego will try and obscure that because it's addicted to guilt. Condemnation is just the projection of guilt. So it wants you to keep condemning, and it's going to tell you that this is going to work, that this will actually free you. It's going to alleviate your guilt. By condemning, you're going to alleviate your guilt. You're going to feel better. That's what it tells you, but it's a lie because it just perpetuates the guilt. Guilt and condemnation go hand in hand. So the more you condemn, the more guilty you must feel. Okay? Happy with number 5? Happy with that section?
Yeah.
All right. So that brings us to today's lesson, which is 226 we're on to. So let's have a look at the lesson then. If you read that original, key idea, and then the alternative.
My home awaits me. I will hasten there. Or my home in the what's that say? Source, is it? State, yeah, state.
My home in the state, yeah.
Yeah. My home in the state of perfect love awaits me, and so I choose this state now.
So that's what he's referring to. My home is this inner state. So change the lesson significantly, but it points us home to the state of mind in which we're truly at home. State of pure formless awareness of perfect love. And so, I will hasten there saying, well, I'll choose this state. I'm not going anywhere physically, but I'm choosing this state of peace and love and joy, and to be in flow rather than to deny all that. Okay, so that's the key idea. Translated, just a couple of short paragraphs to read.
Yeah. I can depart from this world entirely if I so choose. It is not death which makes this possible, but a change of mind about the purpose of the world. If I believe it has value as I perceive it now, so will it still remain for me. But if I perceive no value in the world, nothing that I want to keep as mine or search for as a goal, I will escape from it, for then I will have not sought for illusions to replace the truth.
I have not sought, I will not have sought. Would be better order of that. I will not have sought for illusions to replace the truth. So what's he saying in that one?
Well, if we can choose one or the other right now, or not necessarily, well, not through death, but a change of mind about the purpose of the world. If we have value in it, then that's what we will have now. It will just remain the same as it, yeah. And or we can choose the other and escape from it. And so we instead of sorting,
it's a key principle of this course. He's saying, don't value what is valueless. Do not value what is valueless. And then the criteria for determining value, as he explains, is permanence. Right? Is this permanent? Will it last? That's the only criteria. So if it won't last, it's of no value. That's his decision, because it's temporary. Well, that's every form in this world. It won't last. So therefore, he's saying it's of no real value. It seems to have a value. It has a temporary value. We assign it a value, but that's all part of the illusion. It has no real value because it won't last. So it will ultimately fade away and it'll disappoint you. Which is why, all form will ultimately disappoint you, because it just can't last. Not designed to last by its maker, the ego. It's designed to fade away and die, because that's the thought system of the ego. The only thing that's valuable is what's permanent, what's eternal. Well, that's the only determinant of value. So only the eternal is valuable, and anything that's temporary has no value whatsoever. That's that's the decision, which is very clear. It's a very clear distinction, which you have to make if you're going to practice this course. You have to be able to discern the difference between truth and illusion. Truth is valuable, and illusion has no value whatsoever. That's the discernment. Not, well, I'll give a little bit of value to the illusion because I like some of it. This is what we're tempted to do. Well, I like that part of the illusion, so I'll value that part. I don't like that part, so I'm willing to let go of that. But that part I like, so that part I'll make real. You see how we play the game? It's very selective, isn't it?
It is.
And he's asking us to really look honestly at that and go, well, you can't really do that because it's all real or it's all unreal. You can't select out bits that you like and say, oh, well, those are real, but everything else is unreal. It's like it's all in the same order of reality. So it's all either real or it's all either unreal. Those are the choices. You can't really fudge them.
No. But you can appreciate what you've got now. So that's As long as you
Well,
don't.
what you have now, what's real now, right, is not the form of things. What's
No,
real
no,
now
it's-
is only the essence that you have right now, the self that is immortal, that is unchangeable, the
Oh,
love,
yes.
the peace, the joy that you experience. That's the only thing you really have right now, because on the level of form, whatever you have is changing all the time.
Oh, it is. Yeah. Well, like my old dog there, you know, she's a beautiful dog, which is 15. So I know time's limited. So I'm
Yeah.
appreciating her now, appreciating her beauty, even though she's a bit dotty now and going a bit deaf. But yeah.
So, you know,
I'm
whatever is temporary has no value. So
No,
the form
but-
of the dog, of the dog's body, the dog's life in this world, he's saying it has no real value. Right? The only thing
No.
that has value is the very essence of
Of
that
it.
dog, which is the same essence as you, which is eternal, which doesn't change.
Yes.
That's the only thing that has value. And
Which
so if you can see that, you can perceive that in the dog and in
Oh, it
yourself,
does.
then you
Yeah.
have an unconditionally loving feeling towards the dog, and you experience that yourself. So you're loving
That's
yourself
right.
by
Yes,
loving
I
the
do.
dog. So this is what he's trying to teach us. And then
Yeah.
you're not affected by the form that fades and dies. You go, well, I'm not really sad because the dog's dying, because I recognize that that's illusory and that has no real value. It never did.
No.
It was an illusion of value, which
I'm
the
just
ego uses to get us attached to its thought system. And then, of course, it disappoints us time and again because we get attached, we believe in it, and then, oh, it's disappointed me again because, you know, guess what? The dog died again. And I've had, you know, 4 or 5 dogs in my life, if you your age, who've you know, gone through their lives 10 to 15 years and they've died.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Well, that's right, yeah, but yeah, it's you know, but having, you know, the 15-year-old, you know, she's brought much love. She's also brought a lot of heartache as well, but and when her time comes, there will be grief, I'm sure. However, I'll just allow it and not resist it.
No, it's what you're grieving for is an illusion. That's what you've got to realize.
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, it's just you miss you kind of the illusion misses them, don't you? So you do, you know.
It's
I'm not at the
the
Jesus.
illusion of the form and the identity that they have, and then your personal identity misses that because now there's seemingly a hole in your reality, and they've gone.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
what was there once.
That's right. So I appreciate the grieving will
Is
naturally
no longer
come,
there,
of
but
course.
your grief being present. And not
Yeah,
to say that you won't experience that, but then say, okay, I'm aware of what's going on, and I let it go as quickly as I can.
Oh
Because
yeah,
grief
yeah. Of
is
course,
not
I'll do my best. But
grief is not an emotion that serves you.
Yeah, but I shall just allow what is coming up in front of me when the time
Yeah,
comes.
so you don't push it down or push it away. You allow it. Grief is coming up, and I'm feeling the emotion, and I'm feeling sad, and maybe you let yourself cry, and then you release it. You go, okay, I'm letting it go. Because it doesn't serve me to stay in a grief-stricken state. It's not a happy state.
No, of course.
And actually, nothing's really happened. You know, an illusion seemed to die. An illusion seemed to be born 15 years ago. The dog had its life. You know, it was a puppy that grew into an adult dog, had its life, its experiences. Now it's old, and you know, then the form of it fades away. You go, well, none of that was really true. None of it, because it's all illusion. So then why am I suffering? Why am I sad? Because an illusion passed away. Right? It was never real. And this is how the Course gets you out of all pain and suffering. If you really understand it, there's no pain and suffering. Because you realize it's not justified.
But there's no reason to not enjoy her company while she's here.
Well, absolutely, you should. You know, the what you want to do is be in a state of unconditional love with everyone and everything. So you can experience unconditional love. That's the holy relationship. That's the best you can do in this world, in your relationship.
Oh, yes.
That
I
will
do
awaken.
Yeah. You try. Well, I try. I mean, it's obviously much easier to love her unconditionally than, say, the grumpy neighbour who shouts at you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
Obviously easier.
Yeah.
So there you go. But I have to love them equally.
Yeah, so that same state that the dog can take you into, nice, warm, fuzzy, unconditionally loving, I feel really good. That same state is available when your neighbor's shouting. It's still there. You just now decided to react and experience something else to deny that state.
Yeah.
So this is what Yesha's teaching us. Well, you can always choose that state if you want to, irrespective of whether the neighbor's grumpy or shouting at you. You can choose to stay in that holy state if you really want to. It requires a conscious choice, and it requires the disciplining of the mind.
It does,
To go,
oh,
I'm not just going to react willy-nilly to whatever's said or done to me. I choose my state.
Yeah.
I choose it consciously, and I choose to be in love and peace and joy no matter what. That's what he's trying to train us to do. No matter what seems to happen on the level of form, no matter what the illusions are that the ego shows me, I choose love, peace, and joy, because that is the truth. That's what I really am. And that is what's really going to make me happy.
Yeah.
So it's a conscious choice to stay in what is permanent and therefore valuable, to stay anchored in that, to keep your mind fixed on that, and not to depart into illusions and go, oh, well, now I'll start giving illusions value. As soon as you give an illusion value, it's guaranteed you will suffer at some point. Because that illusion is not always going to be there. It's guaranteed. You will suffer. Maybe not straight away. The suffering might be delayed for years, because the thing you're attached to might have a lifespan of years. But at some point you will suffer because of it, because it's not always going to be there.
That's right, yeah.
No illusion will last. So you just delay or defer your suffering to a later point whenever you value any illusion. Once you see that, you go, that's silly, I'm not going to do that. Rather just let it go now. Then cherish it, and then delay my pain for a future date. But like what, a friend of yours who's got the thing going with the guy in the US, just delaying her pain, but eventually it'll come down and she's going to suffer. It's like, well, you won't see and you won't see it. And then it'll be like, okay, now it's you've really got to suffer to see the delusion, because you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't see the signs.
Well, she's a very intelligent lady, normally, so everybody's bemused.
Yeah, it's not, you see, it's emotional. She's attached emotionally. She's playing out an egoic fantasy. Maybe, I want to be younger, reminding herself of when she was 20 years younger, when her body was fitter, younger, sexier, etc. And she's trying to recapture that through the relationship. You see? So now it's her own fixed illusion related to a persona that is not real and a body that's not real, that's playing out, and that's very powerful. And she believes it. So then she's like, no, this is what I want to see. This is what I want to believe. I'm not interested in anything else. Deny everything else that says to the contrary, and just believe what I want to see, what I want to see, and believe what I want to believe.
Because he's a 46-year-old film star, and I've seen a picture of him, and he's obviously like a model. And she's 70.
Right. And he wants their money. He's a film star, right?
He said his mother's got some illness and just sent 3,000 euros over, but there's something else that he needs more money, so she's going to send that over.
Yeah.
What is that? There's a name for it, isn't it? Is it scam? There's a name
because it's a scam.
So
he's gone, I've hooked in a vulnerable older woman
It's
with
not him,
my
though.
youth and my charm and my looks.
I think what they're doing, because this happened to my oh, Mo, you've met Mo. You know Mo. Mo, they joined us, a couple of times. Her friend, a gentleman, he met somebody 30 years younger, and he had a great fantasy for her. And it turned out that the woman wasn't real. It was somebody else pretending to be this woman.
Yeah, it's all false.
Yeah.
It just goes to show you. It's all in the mind. It's like,
you get all these things. Funny enough, when you're on Facebook,
even if that person seemingly exists.
Yeah, and he might not even exist for all we know, this gentleman. So,
exactly. It's some fake identity.
It could well be. I'm sure it probably is, but somebody's taking money out of her, and she won't believe it. No. So she's caught up in the fantasy, well and truly.
Yeah. It's her own fixed projection. As he says here, what can come between a fixed projection and the its goal. Go back to that. And number one was in number two, was it? What can come between a fixed projection, the aim that I've chosen as its wanted goal? Well, if the Holy Spirit can, if you allow it, but if you deny that voice, then you're like, no, this is what I want to see. This is what I want to believe. And, I'm deluded, but I want to believe my delusion.
So many do it. Many do it. Yeah. I mean, you've seen it on your own face.
This is why scammers have are in business, because they hook in to people's illusion.
They're picking on older ladies. Say, I don't know what.
They pick on anyone who's got a delusion going on in their mind. I got scammed once, and I'm very glad I did, because it was such a good experience to go through how it's done and recognize my own delusion in the process and experience it and go, okay, I get it. I understand now experientially, because you go, well, how could it happen? Well, it happens because your thoughts and your emotions get distorted, and the scammers know exactly how to manipulate that distortion. So they're like, okay, well, we'll get you into a desire. There's always got to be a desire, and then a fear of missing out. And so they play that. It's like, oh, no, they hook into your desire, and but if you don't do this, then you could miss out. And those emotions of fear and desire are powerful emotions that cause people to take actions. Like, okay, well, I'll give money because my fear and my desire are more powerful.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, no.
So I get hooked into this
social media.
Yeah,
social media.
I can't, it's addiction. I can't get beyond my addiction to my own delusions, my own fear and desire. And I can't just step back and go, actually, I can step out of that, above the battleground, look on it and go, yeah, that's just illusion. I can't believe in that. Let it go. Just drop the whole thing. Let the illusion go. And then you're free of it. And then the scammers have no power because there's no desire or whatever. You can't hook me.
It's interesting with Facebook as well. You'll get strange people from all over the world wanting to be your friend. And it's usually like, obviously, you can see they've targeted somebody, say, my age, 60. Well, I'm now 62 now. They're targeting older women. And for some reason, I do get these sort of what they call older gentlemen from America or from Timbuktu wanting to be my friend. And I'm
Timbuktu, seriously.
Yeah, all over the place. And you just think, they're obviously seeking out older women, maybe for... But they're doing it, I mean, it's not, they're doing it with hundreds of women. I'm not the chosen one. It's hundreds.
They've just
randomly picked, and then they'll put some stupid message in saying, how wonderful you are and all of these things, and you straight away think, this is odd. This is very odd. I mean, obviously I just remove them, but a lot of women who are sort of a certain age, you get a lot of that. And I know I get targeted.
So then, a woman who's wanting to recapture her lost youth, who's feeling a bit lost and lonely, goes, oh, someone loves me. No, he said how wonderful I am. And how beautiful I am. And then I respond. And it's like, of course, he's just pandering to the ego to hook her in, to start an engagement. And then it's like, okay, well, once we can get the engagement
going. There's quite
going,
a lot of it out there going on.
Yeah. It's all this, this illusion. The mind is deluded and won't look honestly at what it's doing. Because if you really, in spiritual or in a truly spiritual state, you can't really get scammed. You just go, no, it's not. I'm not gonna. There's no desperate desire. It's like, why would I do that then? I can just let it go. It's a desire that hooks you in. That's what I saw. Yeah. When I got scammed, it was like a desire. I was like, yeah, I needed the money, and it was like, oh yeah, this could really be good. And then it distorts your perception. You start losing touch with what's realistic, and you don't. And someone said to me, oh, it could be a scam. I was like, no, I didn't want to believe it, because I decided that I wanted this to be reality. Right. See, that's what we do. I decided up front. I was like, no, I want this to be the truth. So I'm going to ignore all evidence to the contrary, which there was, because there always is if you're honest with scams, and just believe it.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, well, it happened. But I was very glad it happened in hindsight, because it was like I actually needed to go through the experience. I wouldn't have got the lesson if I hadn't experienced it fully, you see. So I was like, okay, well, great, business education 101. That's something you can't learn at university or business school, because they don't teach you that. It's like, great, it's part of my business education. Yeah, I paid a few $1,000 for it, but a good lesson. Wasn't catastrophic, didn't derail the ship. It wasn't hundreds of thousands. It was like, okay, it's a few $1,000, lesson learned, very valuable lesson. Okay, I accept it. That's and it got me out of that mindset. I realized, okay, this whole chasing the money and seeking opportunities, and I let it go. I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And so it fundamentally changed my course, the course that I was on, for the better. I started to do things that were more valuable, focus on more spiritual stuff, really adding value, on doing proper business that wasn't just like seeking some quick get rich quick thing. No, it was like it was very helpful. So actually that scammer did me a huge favor, because it was a course correction that I needed. Yeah. And so this is the value of when you really understand letting go. It's like, yeah, it's painful at the time, but actually it's exactly what I needed to correct my course and put me on a much more positive course, which is now unfolded into this and has led me here. Maybe if I hadn't had that correction, that wouldn't have happened. Who knows? And now, interestingly, because 10, 12 years later, some of that stuff I was busy with then, gold deals, and has come back, but now it's much more real. Actually, there's a realistic possibility. It's like, actually, this is not just scams. I think we have a genuine transaction, genuine deal, and I'm capable of pulling it off potentially. Whereas 10 years ago, I wasn't close. I was, just a wannabe, not even just, seeking, desperate energy, trying. It was like I realized that my honesty at that point was like, I'm nowhere. This is pointless. I'm not getting anywhere with this. Just move on. It's a delusion. It's a waste of time. Move on. And at that point, it was. It's like, okay, so then go through a whole course correction, all this mind training, and then maybe it comes back, and now actually it's in a form where it can work. And you needed 10, 12 years. Prepare yourself to get yourself into the right frame of mind and energy to actually do it properly. Not out of desire or fear, out of a state of inspiration and flow. Like, okay, well, then that's, if you engage in it in that way, it's fine. It's okay. The Holy Spirit's guiding it. It may or may not work. Who knows? Maybe it won't. But I'm not attached, so it doesn't matter. I've learned that it's actually all about the journey. Okay, well, there's an experience. Maybe that's another part of the experience I need to have in this life to awaken. So, all right. Ultimately, that's the truth, isn't it? Always. Whatever's happening on the level of form, it's another experience, awakening experience. So if you remember that, you can't really lose. Like, well, okay, just another letting go opportunity, another opportunity to let go of some more of the ego, another opportunity to awaken. Good. Nothing wrong.
But with Teresa, she's not on a spirit. But Teresa's not on a spiritual path, so this is looking like it possibly, it's going to really crush her, isn't it? Because she's not on a spiritual path. Well, but then that might put her on a spiritual path, you see, because the crushing disappointment of it and the loss and, the seeming betrayal and disappointment might awaken her to like, okay, well, this thought system that you thought served you, the ego, failed you, dismally. It caused, all this pain and suffering and financial loss. Okay, well, maybe you need to wake up from that delusion. Maybe there's something else, see? So that could be exactly what she needs to put her on a spiritual path and start the awakening process. In which case, okay, that's what she needs to experience. All perfect in its imperfection, isn't it? If you look at it from that point of view. And the scammer, whoever's doing it, is part of that process. So they're not evil. They're just playing their role in the awakening journey of that person. Well, they've already got 3,000 euros.
Yeah, but you're looking at it from a bigger perspective. Maybe she needs to care. That's what she needs to do then. And then what will happen is that, life makes a plan to orchestrate that. So, okay, then you have to find someone who's going to take the money so that you can lose it, so you can get the lesson. You see?
Or she could end up
everyone's actually just playing their part.
But she could end up just being very bitter as well. She could go one way or the other.
If she could, but there is the opportunity in any serious disappointment to awaken. You always have the opportunity to let it go and awaken to something else if you really let it go. Yes. So that's her lesson, that's her opportunity. So it's a setup for a miracle if she chooses for it to be.
Yeah.
Or she could choose to perceive it through the ego, and then she just suffers more and she gets bitter. And if she holds on to that bitterness, then she'll probably get sick and she'll die a bitter old woman. It's like, okay, well, that's what you chose then. So be it. Maybe next lifetime you'll get it right. You learn something from it. Or she could go, okay, well, maybe I was just deluded. Maybe I get it. I see my delusion. I see that really it's actually, I can't blame anyone. I did it to myself. It was my own delusion that got me caught up in this mess. And so, okay, well, I can let that go. I can learn the lesson, dust myself off and carry on, and I won't make the same mistake again. And then maybe it puts her on a better track, which is she's less desperate, she's less attached, she's more self-aware, she's able to be at peace with herself. She's not seeking, some kind of salvation in another person, which is what she's doing. And that, that's a big lesson.
Yeah.
So it's all, you can't say, oh, it's bad, can you? Because it's all perfect.
No.
In its apparent imperfection. It's obviously meant to happen for her awakening. That's what it's for.
Everybody's worried about her, though.
Yeah, but
they're all worried.
They worried unduly because it's all part of her journey, and it will play out exactly as it's meant to play out.
Yeah.
Whether they worry or they don't, it's like this is her karma that she's got to go through. She's got to experience. So why are you worried? Just
I'm
let
not
it
worried.
go.
No,
Okay?
I'm good.
No,
Yeah.
well, you shouldn't be, because she's just going to experience what she needs to experience. And the lesson, there will be a profound lesson for her if she chooses to learn it. So what's there to be worried about? And she'll learn it or she won't. Some will, some won't.
Yeah.
That's the nature of the dreamer. Not everyone learns their lesson straight away, but they always have the opportunity to, if they choose to.
Mm.
And that's how it is. It's okay. So you can just observe it with detachment. Yeah, forgiveness on the hand still quietly does nothing. Offends no aspect of reality, nor seeks to twist it to appearances I like. Merely observes, waits, and does not judge. So you adopt the same attitude with your friend. Okay? Observe, wait, don't judge. And let it play out. And the more you tell her not to do it because she's making a mistake, the more likely she is to carry on doing it, isn't she?
Well, she's not particularly a close friend of mine. It's just a lady that works at cat welfare. I only just see her, but she's not someone I go out with. She's just the talk of the town because of her, this situation.
No, well, everyone likes a bit of gossip.
Yeah, so that's it. It's just talk of the town. Well, yeah. I don't ask. It's just I keep getting told about it, so I've just got to pretend I'm interested.
Yeah, or just stay in this.
Yeah, I don't make any comment.
Just look and don't judge.
No, exactly.
Merely looks, waits, and judges not. So it's a lovely, that's very Eastern, isn't it? This is very like, okay, just going to observe. It's very mindful, and so he's connecting here in the sentence, this paragraph, this whole area of mindfulness and these practices that cultivate detachment, observation, being the witness, with the Course, and saying, yeah, this is a big part of forgiveness. We're letting go. All right. So moving on to number 5. Therefore, I do nothing.
Therefore, I do nothing and allow letting go to show me what to do. Oh, I've already said that one, haven't I? Are we doing it again? You want me to read it again?
Have we done number 5?
Yes.
Did we do it? Oh, okay. No, we've said it. Sorry. Yeah, I'll do it again. Why not? I'll just close up this introductory section.
I do nothing and allow letting go to show me what to do through my guide, my awakener and protector, strong in hope and certain of an ultimate success. I have never been condemned, but only loved by this loving presence, for such is its function given to it by pure formless awareness of perfect love. Now I must share its function and let go of all condemnation toward perfect love's extension that it has awakened, whose innocence it perceives and whom it honors as the extension of perfect love.
Yeah, so we actually did number 1, didn't we?
We did.
Then we went back.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we actually just looped back to have a look at, because it it's about something I was referring to. So we've done number 1. Do you want to read number 2 then? Paragraph 2. It's just a prayer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My source, my home awaits my glad return. I hear your voice and surrender into your comforting embrace. What need have I to linger in a place of vain desires and shattered dreams when the state of perfect love can so easily be mine?
Yeah, powerful words. What need do I really have to linger in a place of vain desires and shattered dreams, which is this world. He's really calling it for what it is, vain desires. A vain desire is a futile. Let's maybe change that to futile. Vain means futile. It's in vain. It's like futile.
Yeah.
Place of futile desires and shattered dreams. And the state of perfect love can so easily be mine. State of heaven is normally we do the pure formless awareness. And I'm just going to say the pure formless awareness can so easily be mine. So why he's saying, why do we waste all our time, with this futile stuff, these futile desires and the shattered dreams, all the disappointment that goes along in this world, when you could just have this absolutely pristine, pure, formless awareness of perfect love that will never disappoint you. It never fades. It never dies. It's always there. It can always be relied on forever, eternally. Like, why would you choose a place of futile desires and shattered dreams when you could have that so easily? Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, okay. If you put it that way, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Well, yeah, okay. Why indeed? Why am I wasting my time seeking what just I'll never find satisfaction in this world? I'll never find what I'm looking for. And that futility of the seeking and the striving of the ego and never finding. Seek and never and do not find. That's its mantra. It can be very innovating and disappointing. You can go, oh my God, like why even bother with any of it? But that's something you've got to go through as part of the awakening process, because it's part of the letting go of the ego's belief that there is actually a point to anything it's created and done. When you start realizing that there is no point, it's really, for the ego, very distressing, disturbing. But this is necessary to awaken, because you have to see it for what it is. If you're not willing to see that, and you think that its vain desires and shattered dreams have some value, then you continue to value them, and you continue to deny pure formless awareness of perfect love, because you're valuing what's illusory. So it's a very simple teaching. Again, he's just saying very, very simple, very straightforward, but you must apply it without exception. The vain desires and the shattered dreams tempt you all the time.
Yeah.
And people say, well, what, so I do nothing in this world? So I just sit and be? No, he's not saying that. That's one part. Some people, have attained enlightenment that way. They just meditate all the time. But just don't believe in the vain desires and the shattered dreams. Don't believe in them. So while you engage in the world and worldly activities, don't buy it. Don't go down the road of, I really desire this. I'm dreaming about this. I'm gonna make this. This is gonna be amazing. Don't do that, because it's an illusion. It's leading to a place where you will be disappointed and you will suffer. So recognize it. Yeah, it's a road to nowhere. You're going nowhere. So recognize that and go, no, okay, I'm not going down that road. So instead, I will engage in these things, and I do it in a very present state. No desire, no fear. Okay, you ask for guidance. This feels right. I engage in it in a very present way. I'm in the present moment. I'm in flow, and I'm doing what I'm doing in the present moment. It's actually quite enjoyable. So it's a different way of operating, isn't it? I don't have to have vain desires and shattered dreams. And then, whatever the outcome of it is, that's the outcome. It works, it doesn't work. So, okay, well, it's no big deal, because I wasn't really attached to it. I didn't have all the desires and the fantasies and the expectations going, which will cause the shattered dreams, you see. vain desires, the desire leads to the grievance, which is the shattered dream. So I desire, and the more I desire it, then it doesn't happen, then I feel very disappointed because my desire wasn't fulfilled. It doesn't have nothing to do with reality. It's only what I desire. It's all in my own mind. The disappointment based on my own expectation, and then my own judgment that, well, my expectation hasn't been fulfilled now, so now I'm disappointed. And you really got to watch. It's like, just watch, because it's very easy to get attached, and that's part of the practice. So I'm engaged in various activities which all have some stuff on the level of form. There's form outcomes, but like, it's my spiritual practice to watch and not get attached, just to observe and not attach to it while you're engaging. So that's advanced spiritual practice, actually. And so you learn, to stay non-attached, stay in the Holy Spirit in a non-judgmental state, even while you're engaging in these things that could very easily hook your ego. So I'm dealing with finance and money and objectives. These things could be, very big and lucrative and da 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 da. Okay, but don't get attached to any of it. That's the lesson.
Yeah.
Even while you engage in it. So you can do, any of this stuff: business, sport, arts, whatever activity you engage in this world, but do it with the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Let the Holy Spirit do it through you, rather than you trying to do it. See, because your activity, for its purpose, which is to perpetuate the self-concept, identity of a separate self, which is delusional. Whereas the Holy Spirit will do it to awaken you to who you really are as part of your hero's journey of awakening. And those are fundamentally different purposes. Okay. So any other thoughts or comments, questions on the lesson?
That's clear. Yeah, all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So should we do a meditation on the lesson?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So give me a moment to get things going. So okay, so this is a meditation on today's lesson, 226. Just making yourself comfortable, sitting your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, your hands palms facing upwards on thighs. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. You clench the sphincter muscle, you lock the energy in. You draw the energy up the spine into your heart center, up into the crown of your head. So scan your mind, just notice thoughts and emotions, related body sensations going on. So anything that feels at all unpleasant, negative, limited, constricted, contracted, just notice any of that. Notice how it shows up in your body, in your mind, in your energy system, and just breathe in the truth of who you are. Remind yourself of that with today's lesson. So say my home awaits me. I will hasten there. Alternatively, my home in the state of perfect love awaits me, and so I choose this state now. My home in the state of perfect love awaits me, and so I choose this state now. Conscious choice, therefore, to let go of anything else, anything other than perfect love. Just observe whatever those thoughts and emotions are that are not perfect love, and you can choose to release them now with the help of your breath. So exhale. Have a sense of just letting go of whatever it is you're holding on to. It's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine to expel the last remaining air out. And just release all this negative energy, negative energy. Let go of just find a sense of stillness and peace, serenity. And you breathe in through the nose and you observe the breath flowing in. And out. Just letting it go. And then again in and out, and just into a state of just witnessing the breath. Just watch and wait, observe the breath, observe thoughts, your thoughts flowing through your mind, your related emotions and body sensations. Observe it all. And sink inwards, go deeper with each breath into still, calm, quiet, peaceful state of mind. State of mind without illusions. State of mind with showing the truth is true. And listen to these words. If you like, you can repeat the words after me, say them as affirmations of the truth. We breathe in, clench the sphincter muscle to your power breath, lock the energy in, draw it up to your heart center, put one hand on the heart, draw it up into the crown of your head, pausing at the top of the inhale. And just observe those thoughts, those emotions that are disturbing your peace. And I'll say, I can depart from this world entirely if I so choose. And then exhale. And release. Let go of any attachment to this world. Breathe in again to your nose. It is not death which makes this possible, but change of mind about the purpose of the world. So speak those words. It is not death that makes this possible. It's not about death, that's of the ego, but a change of mind, a resurrection of the mind to another purpose, purpose of awakening. Breathing in again. Maximum inhale breath, clench the sphincter muscle, lock the energy in, draw the energy up the spine into your heart center. To crown of your head, pause to listen. So if I believe it has a value as I perceive it now, so would it still remain for me. Or an exhale, repeat those words. If I believe still has a value as I perceive it now, so it will still remain for me if I want to perceive it that way. It's only going to change when I change my mind. Breathing in again. But if I perceive no value in the world, nothing that I want to keep as mine or search for as a goal, I will escape from it. I'll exhale, have a sense of releasing. Just escaping from the world right now. But then I will not have sought for illusions to replace the truth. You breathe in again. Contemplate that and speak those words out loud. You will not have sought illusions to replace the truth, which is what the ego is always constantly trying to get you to do. Seek for illusions. Replace the truth. The whole world is about this massive distraction device to replace the truth with illusions. Seem to be real, seem to be now outside of you in real form. Sent to you by the ego for your belief. So breathing in again. Say the final prayer. So Father, or my source, breathe in, embrace this, invite it in. Say my home awaits my glad return. Home is my spiritual home, heaven, state of pure formless awareness, as we call it. So awaits my glad return. So I hear your voice. Surrender into your comforting embrace. Say that, and then as you exhale, do it. So surrender into what need do I have to linger in a place of futile desires and shattered dreams? And the pure formless awareness of perfect love. So Just contemplate that for a moment. Why do I want to stay in a place of futile desires and shattered dreams when I can have this deep peace? It's always there, always available, always reliable, can never go away. It's eternal, in other words, or is truly valuable. You can have that rather than futile desires and shattered dreams in this world. So why would I choose this world? So the more we practice, we access this deeper reality of pure formless awareness. The more I find it. Just sinking inwards. Breathe, relax, be still, observe the breath flowing in, the breath flowing out through the nostrils in a very calm, detached observer way. There's no judgment. And sink inwards for a couple of minutes of deep silence. There's nothing else to do, nowhere else to go, nothing else to think about. So just breathe, relax, be still, surrender into deep peace and stillness. That is home. Beyond the strange desires, futile desires, and shattered dreams, just surrender into this state of pure thinking inwards to the truth. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. You just breathe, relax, be still, and let the stillness take you into it, merge with it, surrender to it. Just be in the stillness for the next couple of minutes of deep contemplative silence. And so just to come back from this deep, peaceful state, in awareness of the body and the breath, senses in the world. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in. And noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle flow of air into the nostrils. You pause at the top of the inhale. Check in and scan your mind again, noticing thoughts, emotions, related body sensations going on. Particularly anything that feels at all negative, of love, unpleasant, difficult, contracted, constricted, and you just breathe into that, observe it all, and remind yourself of the truth. My home awaits me. My home in pure formless awareness awaits me, and so I choose this state now. I'm in the state of perfect love awaits me, and so I choose this state now. And you exhale and you blow it out, letting any resistance to let go. It's going on. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And you rest in this deep peace and stillness at the bottom of the exhale for a few moments. Appreciate the stillness in the gap between breaths. Hold the breath for as long as you can. And won't hold it anymore, then breathe in again. And count of 2, notice the weight of your body now pressing down into the chair. Feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling with your hands touching. There's a subtle taste in the mouth, smell in the nose. Notice what you're hearing, the surrounding environment. So you're noticing all these things from this very still, calm, surrendered, connected state. State of mind without illusions. State of mind will show you the truth is true. So anchor the state in. Set the intention to stay here for the rest of the evening. On into the rest of the week. So it is. So I just said, so it's done. Now on the count of 3, open your eyes. So just take a minute to look around. Noticing objects in the room around you. Any object, focus on it for a few seconds. Notice that the peace you felt in the meditation is still very much there, hasn't gone away. It's there whether you have your eyes closed or open, so you can close your eyes briefly, open them again, and look at something else. There's the same peace, same peaceful state is there. And you just acknowledge it, be aware of it. Again, close your eyes or open your eyes and just do this for maybe half a dozen objects for a few seconds at a time. Keep your eyes open, or you can close them as you choose, and you notice that it's the same state of peace that you had when your eyes closed, and the deepest part of the meditation is still there, always with you, because it's eternal. You can never lose it. And so just anchor that state of peace in, carry it with you for the rest of the session in the evening on to tomorrow. So it is. That brings us to the end of the meditation. So, and the first part of the session, done the lesson. So you offer some text today.
I'm feeling a bit tired after
Too late
that.
for you.
Yeah, no, John. That's a pity, John didn't arrive.
It hasn't arrived, no. So there's seven paragraphs of text. It's that long a section. Let's have a look at it so we can get started on it if you like. Do how long you feel you can do. 6-7 paragraphs might take us an hour, maybe hour to an hour and a half.
To be honest, the meditation, I just feel dozy. Yeah, it's not going to go in as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If,
So
if John was there, I could listen in, but yeah.
No, he's not arriving. Well, we move on to the next section for him. So I'll send this out. I'll send this out from the group. So you've got the reading, and you can read it. Done the translation. So I'll just edit it a bit and then record that, and then I'll send it out. You don't want to. You sure you don't want to stay for half an hour?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm just, when you're at that sort of,
Fading.
I'm just dozy. Just not. Yeah, I'd like to do it, because I do enjoy doing the text, but I'm dropping a bit. Yeah.
Okay.
So tomorrow.
All right. So I'll see you tomorrow evening at the same time, 6. Can you make it at 6 this time?
Today? Try 6. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because then we start a bit earlier, and it would now be 8:30, which is a bit more reasonable to start the text.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll do a bit of text tomorrow. Yeah. Right. Look forward to it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. See you tomorrow. Right. Namaste. Good night.
Namaste. Good night. Okay, so some text reading. Here I'll just edit what I've done. This one is called Quiet Answer, section 4, chapter 27, we're on to. So I'll just read it and do some edits as I go, give a bit of commentary, 7 paragraphs to go. So here we go. In quietness are all things answered, and is every problem quietly resolved. Doesn't need much translation, so talking about quietness. And in contrast, he says, in conflict, there can be no answer and no resolution. Its purpose is to make no resolution possible and to ensure no answer will be plain. A problem set in conflict has no answer, or it is seen in different ways. It's perceived, shall we say. In different ways. And what would be an answer from one point of view is not an answer in another light. I am in conflict. Thus it must be clear I cannot answer anything at all. So let's be honest, if I'm in a state of a conflict, it must be clear and I cannot answer anything at all. Conflict has no limited effects. Yet, if pure formless awareness of perfect love gave an answer, there must be a way in which my problems are resolved. For what it was already has been done. Saying the answer is already there, what it wills has already been done. Must be a way in which my problems are resolved. For what it wills has already been done. It's already been done, then it's already resolved. So part of the thinking of this course is to say, my problems are already resolved. So there's no time that needs to elapse between the resolution problem and its resolution. Lesson 80 course said, let me recognize that my problems have been solved. They're already solved, I just need to accept it. What it was has already been done, that's what we say. So the conflict is really over. The answer's already been given. I just have to accept that it is so. Thus, it must be that time is not involved. So therefore, change it to, I don't like the word thus very much. Therefore, it must be that time is not involved and every problem can be answered now. Time is not required. Conseil, not involved. Time is not required. And every problem can be answered now. Yet, it must also be that in my state of mind, solution is impossible. Therefore, pure formless awareness of perfect love must have given me a way in my, should we say, current state of mind. Solution is impossible. If I remain in that state of mind, can't solve the problem. As Einstein said, the significant problems we face cannot be solved at the level of, same level of thinking we were at when we created them. So within that framework in which the problem was created and remains, solution is impossible. I have to go outside of that framework. So therefore, pure formless awareness of perfect love must have given me a way of reaching to another state of mind, which the answer is already there. Such is the holy instant. Such is the holy aware moment. So in the moment, in the now, when I'm not truly aware, I transcend the illusion of my problems and I break through into another level, transcendent level, which is free. The level of truth, the answer that the Holy Spirit, remembrance of that truth, remembers and tells us is there. So it is here that all my problems should be brought and left. So I bring all my problems to this, the truth, which is right here, right now. There is just pure formless awareness of perfect love right now. Here they belong. Here is their answer. Right? So you bring them to where the answer is. And where its answer is, a problem must be simple and easily resolved. Yeah, so if you know the answer already, then there's no problem. Think of a problem and the answer is given to you. Well, you already know how to solve it, so it's very easy. It must be pointless to attempt to solve a problem where the answer cannot be. Alright, so I can't solve the problem in the framework that the problem was set because the answer isn't there. So I can't solve the problem in the ego's thought system because there's no answer there, only problems. But just as surely it must be resolved if it's brought to where the answer is. Yet, if it is brought to where the answer is, it must just as surely be resolved. So saying very simply, bring it all to the Holy Spirit, to the state of mind in which all problems are answered, which is a state of mind that's beyond delusion, truth, it's quiet, it's peaceful. Bring your illusions there and they disappear. They have no fundamental existence. Tend to solve no problems, but within the holy aware moment's surety. So, I only attempt to solve problems in the certainty, state of surety of the wholly aware moment. So I bring all my problems to this truth in the holy aware moment, to the now. There the problem will be answered and resolved. Outside, there will be no solution. So outside of it, what it means there will be no solution, for there is no answer there that could ever be found. Nowhere outside a single simple question is ever asked. Outside of it, outside of the outside of the now, we call it. A single simple question is never asked. So I will never ask a single simple question. The world can only ask a double question. Double question means it's seemingly paradoxical question. Which has an inherent conflict in it. One of many answers can have no answers. So the world says, well, it could be this or it could be that. One of the many answers can have no answers. So ask your guide question, you say, well, what should I do from the ego's point of view? Where should I go? Who should I spend my time with? Many answers, many options, no certainty. So none of these answers will do. None of these answers will work. So do not ask a question to be answered, only to restate its point of view. The world does not ask a question to be answered. The world is really the ego's thought system, the belief in separation can only ask a paradoxical question. Question of many answers can have no answers. They have no real answers. None of them will work. Not ask a question to be answered. But only to restate its point of view. So the ego is just really restating itself, asking questions, not because it really wants the answer, truth, the quiet answer, but just to affirm that it's right, to restate its point of view. Question confirms the belief. So, example of a paradoxical question is, how did this happen? How could separation happen? Well, question assumes that it has happened and then tries to find the answer. But there's an assumption inherent in the question. So it's a paradoxical question. So if you remove the assumption, you wouldn't ask, how could the separation happen? You'd merely see that separation never happened. There's no question, just a simple statement of fact. Okay, so moving on. Number 4, all questions asked within this world are but a way of looking, not a question asked, or just a way of perceiving, so the result of a way of perceiving. And not really a question asked. Question asked in hate cannot be answered because it is an answer in itself. Double question asks and answers both attesting the same thing in different form. A paradoxical question. Asks and answers both attesting the same thing in different form. So you might ask, well, how did the separation happen? And then you answer, saying, well, it happened because ego had a tiny mad idea of separation. And that attests to the reality of the separation. Actually, you could say, well, instead of asking how the separation could happen, just state the truth that the separation couldn't happen. Therefore, it never happened. Therefore, I'm free of all and the world asks but one question, only one question. It is this: of these illusions, which of them is true? Which ones establish peace and offer joy? Which can bring escape from all the pain of which this world is made? So this is the question the world asks, paradoxical question. Paradox is that it's an illusion, so asking cannot work, it's not real. Paradox inherent in the question. Asking of something that's not real for a solution, how can you expect an answer? Whatever form the question takes, its purpose is the same. Ask only to establish sin as real, and ask only to establish sin as real, and once is in the form of preference. It says, which sin do you prefer? Which sin do I prefer? That is the one that I should choose. The others are not true. What can the body get that I would want the most of all? It is my servant and also my friend. Tell it what you want, and it will serve you lovingly and well. This is not a question. It tells me what I want and where to go for it. There's no room to question its beliefs, except that what it states takes question's form. Now, so I'm asking a question, but it's a question asked in a very limited construct. Which sin do I prefer? The question assumes that sin is real. What can the body get that I would want the most of all? Assumes that the body is real and that I really want its offerings. It's not really a question, although it's framed in a question. It's not really a question because it assumes the answer already. I say, what sin would I prefer? Assumes the reality of sin. What can the body get that I want the most of all? Assumes that I'm a body and that what the body offers me is valuable. Tells me what I want and where to go for it. There's no room to question its beliefs, except that what it states takes question's form. So it's a question, but it's really a statement. The question assumes the reality. It's not questioning that reality, it assumes it. That's what he's really saying. So a pseudo question, as he goes on to say in the next paragraph, is that it has no answer. It dictates the answer even as it asks. Therefore, all questioning within the world is a form of propaganda for itself. Self being the world. All questioning of propaganda for the world. What should I do in the dream world makes the dream world real. Just as the body's witnesses are but the senses from within itself, own senses. Remembering its reality from within itself. So are the answers to the questions of the world contained within the questions. So the body's witnesses are only the senses confirming its reality from within itself. So are the answers to the questions of the world contained in the questions that are asked. The answers represent the questions. They add nothing new and nothing has been learned. So the answers, questions of the world, contained within the questions that are asked. Okay? So the answer is inherent in the question. So if I ask, what should my body do? Inherent in that answer is that the body is real. So this is what he's trying to say. So we made the assumption in the question, we then answer it, and the assumption we made in the question is carried through to the answer, and that creates a cycle that reinforces the ego. Never really gives us the true answer. The answers represent the questions. They add nothing. New, and nothing has been learned. And it's a closed loop. I answer a question, the question is inherent. The answer is inherent in the question, and it doesn't free me from the closed loop thinking of the question. It's a closed system. That's what you say when you're caught up in the closed system. Unless I ask a different question. An honest question, as he says, is a learning tool that asks for something that I do not know. It does not set conditions for response, but merely asks what the response should be. So this would be an open question, like, well, show me. I don't know the way. I don't even know what to ask. Just show me. Honest question is a learning tool that asks for something that I do not know. Does not set conditions for response. Merely asks what the response should be. So I don't know. It's really saying I'm clueless. I don't know. I'm not setting up conditions. I don't know. So show me. Show me the way. Give me the answer. But no one in a conflict state is free to ask this question. For he does not want an honest answer where the conflict ends. And what he's saying here, we don't presuppose, we don't assume, don't make assumptions in your questioning. Say, well, you know, what should I do within an illusion? What should the body do? What's going to make the body happy? That's an assumptive question. And he's saying, oh, ask an open-ended question. I don't know. Just show me the way. I don't know the answer. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. So show me. Open-ended question. Doesn't assume the answer. No one in a conflict state is free to ask this question, for he does not want an honest answer where the conflict ends. So if we're not asking honestly, we don't really want an answer. I'm faking it. I think I'm asking for an answer, but I'm not really. I'm just perpetuating my ego's thought system. That's why so many questions are pointless, futile. They don't get to the crux of it. Yeah, so let's move on to number 6, 2 more paragraphs. Only within the only aware moment can an honest question honestly be asked. Can I ask an honest question? Honest question, honestly. So if I'm really in the now, just clean, clear, and open, free of conditioning, then I can ask an honest question. On the meaning of the question, as the meaninglessness, meaningfulness of the answer come. And from the meaning of the question, meaningfulness of the answer does come. So if I ask meaningful questions, I'll get meaningful answers. If I ask nonsensical, paradoxical, illusory questions, then I get answers that are false and illusory and paradoxical. Garbage in, garbage out. Quality of the questions determines the quality of the answers. Is it possible to separate my wishes from the answer so it can be given to me and also be received? Given to me, I can also receive it. The answer is provided everywhere. It is only here it can be heard. Honest answer asks no sacrifice because it answers questions truly asked. Questions of the world only ask of whom sacrifice is demanded. Asking not if sacrifice is meaningful at all. Questions of the world only ask of whom sacrifice is demanded, asking not if sacrifice is meaningful at all. So unless the answer tells of whom, will remain unrecognized. And unheard. Therefore, the question is preserved intact because it gains an answer to itself. So unless the answer tells of whom, not recognize. Unless the answer tells of whom, I will not recognize. And hear it. Therefore, the question is preserved intact because it gave the answer to itself, right? So it's a self-perpetuating cycle, feedback loop, closed loop. Very aware moment is the interval which the mind is still enough to hear an answer. So I'm wholly aware in the now, quiet my mind, I'm still, and I hear answer of the Holy Spirit coming through in the now moment. Still enough to hear an answer that is not entailed with the question asked. For something new and different from the question, how could it be answered if it just repeats itself? So questions of the world don't really provide answers. They just give answers that perpetuate the illusory thought system of the ego. There's no real answer there. They are self-perpetuating, self-reinforcing questions and answers. Genuine questions offer something new and different from the question. How could it be answered if it just repeats itself? So just pointing out here that we can't really get any answers from the ego's questions. Must ask different kinds of questions. Quality of the questions determines the quality of the answers. So, last paragraph, therefore, attempt to solve no problems in a world from which the answer has been barred. Answer has been, can't seem to find the answer in this world, but bring the problem to the only place that holds the answer lovingly for me. Bring the problem, and therefore I attempt to solve no problems in a world in which the answer has been barred. I bring instead the problem to the only place that holds the answer lovingly for me. Here are the answers that will solve my problems as they stand apart from them, and see what can be answered, what the question is. In the world, answers merely raise another question, but they leave the first unanswered. Clarity of the Holy Spirit tells me what the true questions are. Question is, and can be answered. In the world, answers merely raise another question, but they leave the first unanswered. But in the holy aware moment, now I can bring the question to the answer. and receive the answer that was made for me. Designed for me. So he's saying, I can ask with the Holy Spirit, free myself of the ego's thought system. Then I ask truly and can then bring the question to the answer. See the answer that was designed for me. I must ask the right kind of questions. Good question. I don't know. No idea. So I'm open. So show me the way. Show me what to do. Show me where to go. So that's quite a profound section. It's like, well, questions and answers. What's he saying here? Personalized executive summary says, in stillness and quiet, all problems find their resolution. Conflict prevents answers from becoming clear, especially when I've been embroiled in it. Pure formless awareness, perfect love, provides solutions. And pure formless awareness, whereas the perfect love provides solutions and a pathway must exist for my challenges to be addressed. So a way must exist for my challenges, for my questions to be answered. It's evident that solutions can't be bound by time. And that solutions can't be bound by time. And my current mindset might obstruct it. I mean, evident to me that real answers can't be bound by time. Evidence by time and space. Cheerfulness, awareness, perfect love provides a means to mindset where answers are pre-existing. Performance once perfect love provides a means to a mindset where answers are pre-existing. Means to attain a mindset where answers to my performance once perfect love provides a means to attain a mindset where all answers to my authentic questions are already there. Space of clarity is known as the holy way moment. I should bring all my concerns, all my, should we say, worries, concerns, all my concerns, and let them be. Questions asked in this world, often distorted and can't be straightforwardly answered, especially those originating place of malice. Questions asked in this world are often distorted, can't be straightforwardly answered, especially those originating from a place of malice, state of malice. World queries revolve around determining which is the genuine, often misguidedly seeking to establish the reality of sin. Revolve around determining which illusion is genuine, and thereby misguidedly seeking to establish the reality of sin. Those questions don't seek real answers. Rather reaffirm ingrained beliefs. Crucial to recognize what I recognize. Authentic questions are tools for learning, seeking knowledge that isn't already known to, knowledge being of the truth. However, in a state of internal conflict, I can't genuinely ask or hope for honest answers. Only aware moment, only aware moment allows for true question and receiving of real answers, allows for my true questioning and receiving of real answers. Outside this space, the world's questions only perpetuate cycles of confusion. Contrast with the holy aware moment of now, and bring forth my questions to meet their answers. Can confidently bring up contrast with the holy aware moment of now, confidently bring up my questions to confidently allow allow my questions to meet their answers, are already there and will be revealed to me. And I was right. Trying to resolve issues in a world that blocks solutions. Any real solutions. It's futile. Instead, I should present my challenges where the answer awaits. Trying to resolve issues in a world that blocks any real solutions is futile. Instead, I should present my challenges where the answer awaits. And gentle kindness. One's genuine answers lie apart from the problem. Genuine answers lie apart from the problem, making sense of the question at hand. The world might offer further questions as simple answers. Anyway, a moment I'm led to true resolutions crafted just for me. The world might offer further questions as great answers. In a really rare moment, I'm led to true resolutions. Anyone answers my part. Problem and my questions to receive them sensible. Okay, so ask correct questions and the correct answers come, genuine answers. And so the answers, the question is made sensible by the answers. Our world might offer further questions as quote answers. In the early aware moment, I'm led to true resolutions crafted just for me. And when the answers lie apart from the problem, make the question that must seem sensible, so our world might offer further questions as so-called answers. Here is the answers to the separation. A highly aware moment, I'm led to true resolutions crafted just for me. To true answers. Just for me. Designed specifically for me. So the key message is in stillness, find solutions, find genuine solutions to my problems, genuine answers. No, genuine solutions to my problems, genuine answers to my questions and solutions to problems. All questions are often distorted, but in moments of pure formless awareness, I genuinely find the answers I seek. Only in the moments of pure formless awareness, I can genuinely find the answers I seek. Real solutions lie outside worldly confusion, waiting for me in the spacious clarity, pure formless awareness, perfect love. Always provides. So the answers are already there. True answers are already there. If we ask the correct questions, is really the summary. Real solutions lie beyond any world of confusion, waiting for me in the spacious clarity of pure forms, whereas perfect love always provides. So the answers are given. And I'm willing to ask the right questions. So it is. So let's close with a little meditation. Just to 5-minute meditation on the key message of this section 4, chapter 27. Close your eyes, breathing in. Nice deep breath in, maximal inhale breath. Squeeze the sphincter muscles, the muscle used to contract the flow of urine. Squeeze the last drops out, it locks the energy in. All this wave of energy rising up the spine. Help with the breath, breathe it into your heart center. Pull it into the upper back, chest, to the crown of your head, pausing to the top of the inhale. Mind to say, so breathe in stillness. I find genuine answers to my questions and solutions to my problems. Speak those words and affirm the truth of them. Breathe them into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Find genuine answers right now in the fully aware moment of now. Whereas the world's questions are often distorted and designed to perpetuate these problems. But in wholly aware moments of pure formless awareness, in moments of pure formless awareness, I can find the true answers I seek. So the mystic experience, we're having a mystic experience, 9 days of meditation. True answers came, I understood from that truth. I didn't ask worldly questions. Just found a way to let go in the moment. So I facilitated it. And breathing in again. But in wholly aware moments of pure formless awareness, they can find the true answers I see. Real solutions lie beyond any world of confusion. Breathe in on that. Breathe in these real solutions. Waiting for me. Spacious clarity, pure formless awareness, perfect love always provides. So you sink inwards to so it is, I enter into the pure formless awareness, perfect love and surrender. fully to the magnificence of that being. For a minute, do that. Know that in the stillness, the quietness, all the answers are given. And just accept the answers given to you already. Whatever answers you need in your life, to any problems that you perceive, don't ask for specific guidance or answers, just so just find that answer deep in the depths of your being. Know that it's always there in the holy moment and now, accessible whenever you need it, whenever you need guidance. Just drop into it. Don't ask worldly questions. Just go into this quiet space and ask, show me. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. But show me. So just accept the answer. Some truth of pure forms awareness of perfect love. Breathe it in to every pore, every cell, every muscle, embody every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. It's rooted in the answer to the question. Who am I? What am I? Who am I? And just experience the answer. Certainty, that knowledge that your questions are all answered, your genuine questions are all answered in the quiet moment, stillness. You're gonna open your eyes, just look around and apply the same thinking to everything you perceive. Answer is there always. It's in the stillness that underlies all your sense perceptions. Always there with you, guiding you. So it is, so it is said, so it is done. So open your eyes if they're closed again and just take a nice deep breath in and move your arms, shake it out, and carry on with your evening, your day in the answer. And that answer, even if you're busy and active in the world, quiet answer comes in stillness, is always there with you. So I hope this section and this whole session has helped you to find it. And thanks for joining. So thanks to Elaine for joining the session, and if you enjoyed watching, then join us for one of our live sessions, the Sunday session, and can also subscribe to get some material that I send out every day. just showed up front in this video via Telegram. And if you liked the video and you'd like more of it in your feed, then subscribe to the channel and be notified whenever I go live. So thank you for listening, and Namaste. This means the quiet answer in me acknowledges one of the quiet answer.